Is the size and scale of Göbekli Tepe unique in comparison to the ones that are around it?
Yes. So far, the ones that have been found, Göbekli Tepe is unique.
Göbekli Tepe is not just another archaeological dig. It is the world's oldest known temple complex and has naturally fascinated historians, archaeologists and enthusiasts alike since its discovery in the 1990s. Located in southeastern Turkey, this ancient site is shrouded in mystery. Its true purpose is just as big of a mystery as the identity of its builders. At the heart of its enclosures lies Pillar 43, a towering structure that stands as the oldest and most enigmatic of them all. Carved with intricate symbols and animals, it has sparked speculation about its deeper meaning. Some believe the carvings on this pillar could serve as a cryptic warning. Today, with so much happening in the world as we know it, the Joe Rogan Experience Podcast has offered a fresh insight into why the Göbekli Tepe prophecy of Pillar 43 is about to happen and why it matters to us. There's a lot to unpack, so let's get started. The Göbekli Tepe, an ancient enigma. The Pillar 43, a relic from an era long gone, still stands in the ruins of the Göbekli Tepe. Upon first setting eyes on it, one might not think much of it. It appears to be a fairly ordinary pillar, adorned with carvings, much like a bunch of other such monolith surroundings. However, upon closer inspection, scholars have concluded that this ancient monolith might hold a dire warning from a lost civilization. Adorned with carvings of animals, celestial symbols, and what some interpret as a depiction of a comet strike, the pillar has been linked to a potential cataclysm that could have reshaped the course of humanity. Scholars and enthusiasts alike have speculated that these symbols are not merely decorative, but may chronicle a past disaster. Scary, right? Well, it gets scarier, because this could also refer to a disaster yet to come. So, did the builders of the Göbekli Tepe warn us about our impending doom? Well, to answer this question, we must start from the very beginning. Göbekli Tepe literally translates to Potbelly Hill in Turkish, while the Kurdish people call it Gira Mirazan or Zerebreska, meaning Wish Hill. These names were given to the site far before the archaeological treasure trove opened its mouth to the scholarly community. The enigmatic site, dating back to the Neolithic era, sits in the southeastern Anatolia region of Turkey. This ancient settlement, inhabited from approximately 9,500 BCE to at least 8,000 BCE, is renowned for its colossal circular structures, housing some of the oldest known megalithic stone pillars, predating Stonehenge by several millennia. These pillars, often adorned with anthropomorphic features, intricate depictions of clothing, and sculptural reliefs of wild animals, provide invaluable insights into the spiritual beliefs, artistic expressions, and societal complexities of prehistoric communities. The site spans an area of 8 hectares or 20 acres and rises to a height of 15 meters or 50 feet above the surrounding terrain. It is, for all intents and purposes, a mound of accumulated human occupation. Excavations have revealed densely packed ancient structures, including monumental enclosures, smaller domestic buildings, and functional features such as quarries and stone-cut cisterns. The society that built this archaeological marvel was rooted in a hunter-gatherer lifestyle and demonstrated remarkable architectural ingenuity and organizational capability. But we don't know a lot about those people. Erecting the Göbekli Tepe's stone pillars, some towering at over 5 meters or 16 feet and weighing several tons, would prove to be a challenge even for us in the 21st century. This feat, believed to be beyond the reach of human communities, still reliant on rudimentary tools and subsistence living, was evidently achieved through whatever means available to them by these ancient men. Many of these pillars are carved with an array of animal motifs, such as foxes, snakes, birds, and wild boars, alongside abstract symbols that hint at a sophisticated symbolic language. Anthropomorphic features, including arms and hands, suggest these structures might have served as representations of human figures or deities. The site also contains domestic and functional elements, including small buildings and stone basins, which reveal traces of daily life and communal activities. Remarkably, despite its monumental scale, Göbekli Tepe appears to lack clear evidence of permanent habitation, such as hearths or refuse pits typical of settlements. This suggests that it may have functioned as a gathering place for seasonal or ceremonial purposes, drawing together dispersed hunter-gatherer groups for communal rituals and events. Adding to its mystique, Göbekli Tepe was deliberately buried around 8000 BCE. Why? Well, we don't know for sure. The site remained this way, hidden from the eyes of many who came here and went by, without realizing what secrets lay buried beneath the earth. This was until 1994, when German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt stumbled upon it. Schmidt, while exploring Potbelly Hill in southeastern Turkey, noticed an unassuming limestone block jutting from the ground. Though similar artifacts had been dismissed as remnants of a Byzantine cemetery in the past, Schmidt's sharp eye and expertise saw something far more ancient and extraordinary. Göbekli Tepe's excavation revealed a monumental complex comprising 4 large circular enclosures spread over an area of 100,000 square feet. Beneath the layers of earth, intricately crafted T-shaped pillars emerged, forming part of an elaborate construction. Radiocarbon dating placed the site's oldest structures at approximately 11,600 years ago, predating the advent of agriculture and the rise of cities. This may not seem like a big deal now, but back in the day, the revelation was paradigm-shattering. After all, it was long believed that monumental architecture was only possible within settled agrarian societies. Göbekli Tepe challenged this assumption, showing that hunter-gatherer communities could organize, collaborate, and create structures of immense scale and complexity. Speaking of complexity, the enclosures themselves were masterpieces of early architecture, with stone pillars arranged in circular patterns. These T-shaped megaliths, some weighing up to 10 tons, were skillfully carved and transported without the wheel or domesticated beasts of burden. Their surfaces were adorned with intricate carvings of animals, abstract symbols, and human-like figures. Strikingly, the older pillars were more elaborate and detailed in design compared to the newer ones, suggesting a decline in artistic or technical expertise over time. This is yet another anachronism, a sort of inversion of what is typically expected in human development. The construction of Göbekli Tepe remains an enigma. Its builders, presumed to be hunter-gatherers, not only worked with remarkable precision, but also exhibited a level of social organization previously unimagined for their era. They mobilized labor on a massive scale, likely involving hundreds of individuals, to quarry, shape, transport, and erect the enormous stones. For all of this to be possible, they probably had a shared purpose or belief system strong enough to unite diverse groups in an era without established governance or infrastructure. The Göbekli Tepe's discovery not only shattered existing perceptions of early human societies, but also raised profound questions about the role of religion, art, and communal effort in shaping human evolution. The site, deliberately buried around 8000 BCE for reasons still debated, remains a symbol of human ingenuity, hinting at a rich and complex prehistory that challenges the boundaries of what we thought we knew about the dawn of civilization. However, some aspects of the Tepe are far from encouraging. The archaeological site also tells a tale of doom, one yet to come and engulf the world. What have we learned so far? The site of the Göbekli Tepe is an artificial tell on a flat limestone plateau. It boasts steep slopes and cliffs on most sides, with only a narrow promontory linking it to the nearby mountains in the north. During its occupation, the climate was warmer and wetter than today, surrounded by open steppe grasslands teeming with wild cereals like einkorn, wheat, and barley, alongside herds of grazing animals such as wild sheep, goats, and migrating goitered gazelle. Remarkably, the site's high vantage point offered panoramic views over the plains, while providing builders with easy access to soft limestone for construction and flint for tools. Ingenious rainwater harvesting systems, carved directly into the bedrock, collected and stored substantial amounts of water in cisterns, supported perhaps by a higher local water table that activated springs now dormant. Excavations have revealed an abundance of tools, carvings, and a unique relief of a bovid within a small cave on the western escarpment. It appears that the Göbekli Tepe was central to both practical and ceremonial life in the region. Constructed during the pre-pottery Neolithic period, roughly between 9,600 and 7,000 BCE, the site represents a pivotal chapter in human history. This era, marking the transition from the Ice Age, heralded significant cultural and societal transformations that laid the groundwork for village life, agriculture, and permanent settlements. The inhabitants were primarily hunter-gatherers, relying on hunting gazelle and other game during midsummer to autumn while supplementing their diet with processed wild cereals. Archaeological evidence, including grinding stones and mortars, indicates significant cereal processing, hinting at an intermediate stage between foraging and farming. Göbekli Tepe's circular stone enclosures, adorned with intricately carved T-shaped pillars, are believed to have served ritualistic or communal purposes, fostering social cohesion among growing populations. The site itself spans multiple construction and occupation phases. Klaus Schmidt divided Göbekli Tepe into 3 layers based on its history. The oldest layer had large circular enclosures, the middle layer had smaller rectangular buildings, and the top layer showed activities from later times. Later research identified 8 phases of use, covering at least 1,500 years. In the early phases, enclosures were built with round and oval structures, suggesting people were semi-sedentary. Over time, the architecture changed to more rectangular buildings. Modifications were common. For example, new walls and large T-shaped stone pillars were added to enclosures. In later phases, rectangular buildings with benches and divided spaces became the norm. However, natural events like landslides damaged parts of the site. People tried to stabilize it with terrace walls and repairs, but these efforts failed, leading to the abandonment of some key structures by the end of the 9th millennium BCE. Göbekli Tepe's most striking features are the large circular enclosures, which range between 10 to 30 meters in diameter. These structures are defined by their T-shaped limestone pillars, meticulously arranged within sturdy walls of unworked stone. Archaeologists have unearthed 4 such enclosures, however, there could be as many as 16 more. Collectively, these structures house nearly 200 pillars, marking them as the oldest known megaliths in the world. These pillars were quarried from bedrock pits approximately 100 meters from the site, with flint tools used to carve through the limestone. At the heart of each circular enclosure, 2 towering pillars stand facing one another, suggesting a central significance, though whether these structures were roofed remains uncertain. Stone benches along the interior walls hint at communal activities. The site of the Göbekli Tepe includes floors of terrazzo, a lime-based material, while other areas feature carved bedrock pedestals for central pillars. Later phases transitioned from circular to rectangular enclosures, maximizing spatial efficiency while retaining the iconic T-shaped pillars. Some of these rectangular rooms include polished lime floors, much like later Roman terrazzo. A pair of lion-decorated pillars in one such enclosure led to its designation as the Lion Pillar Building. The site's history, however, was marked by environmental challenges. Slope-slide events repeatedly damaged the structures, necessitating extensive repairs and stabilizations. Despite these efforts, continued slope instability eventually forced the abandonment of several enclosures by the late 9th millennium BCE. The long-standing assumption that these structures were intentionally backfilled has since been questioned. Maybe they were intentionally buried. Or maybe natural and cultural processes led to their burial. All we know is that we don't know for sure. The site also exhibits evidence of ritualistic burials, with fragments of incised human skulls discovered in 2017, hinting at a Neolithic skull cult similar to those found at contemporary sites like Jericho and Catalhoyuk. These practices suggest an intricate interplay between life, death, and spirituality within early human communities. On the southern plateau, phallic depictions and quarries from later periods add complexity to the story of Göbekli Tepe. Nearby, a meticulously carved platform known as Complex E, or the Temple of the Rock, bears similarities to ritual sites at Navali Kori. However, by the 8th millennium BCE, Göbekli Tepe's significance began to wane. The transition to agriculture and animal husbandry redefined human society, diminishing the role of foraging-based ceremonial centers. Over centuries, the site fell into obscurity, its once grand enclosures gradually succumbing to erosion and agricultural activities. Yet, its rediscovery has profoundly reshaped our understanding of prehistoric life. So, how did they build it? The majority of quarrying on the plateau appears to have been undertaken during the Neolithic period, with the quarries serving as the source for Göbekli Tepe's monumental T-shaped limestone pillars. Workers outlined the shapes of these massive monoliths by pecking their profiles into the bedrock before levering the blocks out. The discovery of unfinished elements within the quarries, including a 3x3 meter block on the southeastern slope and 3 T-shaped pillars still embedded in the bedrock, reflects the scale and complexity of the operation. The largest of these unfinished pillars, found on the northern plateau, measures an impressive 7 meters in length with a head 3 meters wide. It is estimated to weigh around 50 tons. The labor required to construct Göbekli Tepe has been a point of contention among archaeologists. Klaus Schmidt argued that the tasks of quarrying, transporting, and erecting these monolithic pillars necessitated a large, organized workforce. Drawing comparisons to Thor Heyerdahl's experiments with the Moai statues of Rapa Nui, Schmidt posited that hundreds of workers were likely involved in the construction. For example, one experiment suggested that carving a single Moai-sized pillar could take 20 people a year, while its transport over a distance of 15 kilometers required 50 to 75 people working for a week. Similarly, accounts from 1917 describe a megalithic construction on the Indonesian island of Nias that involved 525 people over 3 days. Schmidt theorized that Göbekli Tepe was constructed by a transient labor force, mobilized by a religious elite. However, more recent analyses offer alternative perspectives. Experiments conducted at Göbekli Tepe suggest that smaller groups, comprising 12 to 24 individuals, could have completed the exposed structures within 4 months. These estimates include time for stone quarrying and food preparation, making it plausible that a single extended family or village community could have managed the construction. This aligns with the observation that the number of individuals needed for such tasks corresponds to the capacity of the site's enclosures, supporting the idea of smaller, localized groups rather than vast, mobilized workforces. The arrangement of Göbekli Tepe's structures further reflects sophisticated planning. We can clearly see a deliberate architectural design that implies a hierarchical spatial organization. This geometric precision highlights the builder's advanced knowledge of geometry and site coordination. The tools found at Göbekli Tepe are equally remarkable. Thousands of flint artifacts, including blades, scrapers, perforators, and projectile points, have been unearthed across the site. The tool assemblage reflects advanced craftsmanship. Excavations at one point revealed nearly 700 tools, with retouched artifacts and scrapers dominating the assemblage. Additionally, over 7,000 grinding stones were recovered, suggesting the processing of cereal grains, though it remains unclear whether the cereals were wild or cultivated. The stone pillars at Göbekli Tepe are also striking examples of early monumental architecture. The intricate carvings that adorn many of these pillars distinguish them, revealing a profound artistic and symbolic tradition. These carvings predominantly depict animals such as serpents, foxes, and boars, alongside gazelle, mouflon, onager, ducks, and vultures. The animals, identified mostly as male, are frequently portrayed in aggressive or dynamic postures, suggesting themes of dominance, vitality, or danger. The anthropomorphic quality of the pillars is further emphasized by depictions of human-like features, including arms, hands, and loincloths, turning these megaliths into stylized representations of the human form. The horizontal top of the T-shape symbolizes a head, while the vertical shaft represents the body. Among the human depictions, one of the most evocative is found on Pillar 43, commonly referred to as the vulture stone. It features a headless man with an erect phallus. Another compelling aspect of these anthropomorphic pillars is the intricate carvings of belts and clothing, which Schmidt believed to signify male attributes. Despite the predominance of male symbolism, a single confirmed depiction of a naked woman has been identified. The significance of these carvings extends beyond their aesthetic value, as their meanings and functions have been the subject of much scholarly debate. Some researchers, including Klaus Schmidt and zoo archaeologist Joris Peters, argue that the diverse fauna depicted likely represents multiple symbolic or practical purposes, rather than a unified iconography. Predatory animals in particular may have been imbued with magical or protective qualities, serving as totems or apotropaic symbols to ward off evil or misfortune. Others propose that these carvings reflect the beliefs or cosmology of the communities who constructed the site. Whatever the case, these carvings are impressive, to say the least. The Göbekli Tepe also reveals a wealth of artifacts and carvings that showcase the cultural and spiritual sophistication of its builders. Among these is a 6.3-foot totem pole featuring stacked human and animal figures. Klaus Schmidt, who began systematic excavations in 1995, interpreted the site as a Stone Age sanctuary and a hub for rituals, possibly honoring the dead. However, Later discoveries of domestic structures and water systems suggest a blend of ritual and daily life. Göbekli Tepe's enigmatic carvings, absence of violent imagery, and renewal practices hint at deep cosmological connections, predating urban civilizations and influencing Mesopotamian culture. Declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2018, it remains a focus of conservation and debate. Of course, the most harrowing aspect of the site is the enigmatic Pillar 43, the controversial Pillar 43 and its prophecy. Pillar 43, also known as the Vulture Stone, stands out due to its unusual carvings, which have sparked a wide range of interpretations and theories about its meaning. The carvings on Pillar 43 include depictions of vultures, which have long been the subject of speculation, with some researchers suggesting that these images could be part of a much more complex representation of the cosmos. The most compelling theory surrounding Pillar 43 is that it may serve as an ancient star map, a celestial chart that tracks the positions of stars and constellations at a specific point in history. This theory arises from the central symbol at the top of the pillar, which is interpreted as the sun, surrounded by a series of smaller symbols that correspond to various constellations. These shapes, when carefully studied, appear to align with a map of the night sky, as it would have appeared roughly 13,000 years ago. This time frame places the carvings at the tail end of the last ice age, a period marked by dramatic climatic shifts that have had a profound influence on human history. According to some researchers, this celestial chart could be one of the earliest examples of a human understanding of astronomy, predating other known ancient astronomical systems by thousands of years. The date of approximately 10,950 BCE is particularly significant because it coincides with the onset of the Younger Dryas period, a sudden and extreme cold snap that interrupted the gradual warming following the last ice age. The Younger Dryas is believed to have had catastrophic effects on the environment, including a dramatic cooling of the planet and massive disruptions to animal and plant life. Some researchers believe that the imagery on Pillar 43 might represent the ancient people's understanding of these dramatic climate events. The vultures depicted on the pillar could symbolize death and rebirth, reflecting the natural cycles that would have been important to the people living during this time. The vulture is often seen in ancient cultures as a symbol of transformation, and its appearance on this pillar might hint at an ancient prophecy or warning related to a catastrophic event like the Younger Dryas, which radically altered the Earth's environment. The idea that the vulture stone could hold prophetic meaning is further supported by the connections between Göbekli Tepe's carvings and other ancient cultures that also placed importance on celestial bodies and their influence on human affairs. Some scholars have even drawn parallels between the symbolism in Pillar 43 and the mythologies of later civilizations. The documentary Göbekli Tepe. The first temple delves into the symbolism and mystery of the site, including the controversial Vulture Stone. The documentary highlights the various theories about its meaning, with experts from different fields offering their perspectives on the carvings and their potential connection to astronomical events. Similarly, other documentaries, such as The Secret of Göbekli Tepe, explore how the site could have served as a ritual center that not only marked astronomical phenomena, but also captured ancient prophecies related to cosmic shifts and environmental catastrophes. The Younger Dryas connection, in particular, has sparked intense debate. Some researchers have posited that the sudden cooling of the Earth at the end of the Ice Age may have been triggered by a comet impact, which could have caused the rapid climate changes recorded in the geological record. This catastrophic event might have been seen by the ancient people as a divine or celestial warning, perhaps reflected in the carvings of Pillar 43. If the Vulture Stone indeed functions as a star map, it might suggest that the people of Göbekli Tepe understood these shifts in the heavens as signs of impending disaster. Whether the carvings on Pillar 43 truly represent a celestial map or serve as a prophetic warning, they undeniably reflect a profound connection between early human culture, the stars, and the cyclical nature of life on Earth. Some researchers insist that the enigmatic imagery on this pillar and others at the site could encode warnings about a global catastrophe, possibly linked to a comet or asteroid impact. The idea that these ancient people encoded a message of survival and warning in the stone carvings is a thought-provoking element of the ongoing mystery of the site. One of the most striking and eerie depictions at Göbekli Tepe is a headless human figure, which has been interpreted as a symbol of mass death and devastation. Moreover, the possibility that a comet strike triggered the Younger Dryas event, a sudden and dramatic global cooling period that occurred around 12,900 years ago, has gained traction among researchers. According to this theory, a comet or asteroid impact caused a rapid shift in the Earth's climate, leading to a dramatic cooling that lasted for about 1,200 years. Some researchers suggest that the builders of Göbekli Tepe were survivors of this global catastrophe and that the site itself was constructed as a memorial or warning for future generations. This theory posits that the survivors, having experienced firsthand the devastation caused by a cosmic impact, encoded their knowledge of the event in the stone carvings at Göbekli Tepe. The implications of this message are profound, especially when viewed in the context of modern-day events. In recent decades, scientists have become increasingly aware of the potential dangers posed by near-Earth objects such as comets and asteroids. The possibility of a cosmic impact event causing widespread destruction is a topic of growing concern in the scientific community. The idea that ancient civilizations, like those who built Göbekli Tepe, might have encoded a warning about such events only adds urgency to the study of these potential threats. If the builders of Göbekli Tepe were indeed attempting to warn us about the dangers of cosmic impacts, their message serves as a reminder that humanity must remain vigilant in its efforts to track and mitigate these risks. An upcoming catastrophe. What if we were the intended audience for the prophecy of doom communicated via the enigmatic pillar 43? What if stumbling upon the Göbekli Tepe was not mere coincidence, but fate? Well, in that case we must gaze at the cosmos in alarm as we shift our focus to the taurid meteor stream, or TDS. Originating from the fragmented Enki comet, the TDS is a celestial phenomenon that presents both awe-inspiring meteor showers and potential risks to Earth. While most debris in the TDS burns up harmlessly in the atmosphere, larger fragments, sometimes referred to as city-killer asteroids, could cause catastrophic impacts. Historical events like the Tunguska explosion of 1908 illustrate the destructive potential of such fragments. Furthermore, theories suggest that even larger impacts, like those possibly tied to the Younger Dryas event, could have resulted from objects within the TDS. Were the ancients warning us? Well, many experts, including guests on the famous Joe Rogan Experience Podcast, believe so. Here, the Göbekli Tepe and Pillar 43 have been topics of discussion, often linked to theories about ancient cataclysms and advanced prehistoric civilizations. Guest speakers, including Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson, have highlighted the potential connection between Göbekli Tepe, the taurid meteor stream, and the Younger Dryas cooling event. These discussions emphasize the possibility of past cometary impacts reshaping human history and explore how Göbekli Tepe's carvings may encode astronomical knowledge, serving as warnings of future cosmic threats. Then there's the theory of cyclical threats. The theory suggests that Earth's exposure to cosmic dangers, such as meteor showers, comets, and asteroids, occurs at predictable intervals due to its regular passage through debris fields left by past cosmic collisions. These debris fields, like the taurid meteor stream, are remnants of broken celestial bodies and contain fragments that periodically intersect with Earth's orbit. Some researchers speculate that ancient civilizations, such as the builders of Göbekli Tepe, may have recognized these patterns and encoded warnings in structures like the vulture stone, which could map dangerous celestial events. While modern technology has improved the detection of near-Earth objects, the unpredictability of hidden or undetected fragments within these streams continues to pose a significant risk. If so, these people weren't alone. Many cultures share stories of catastrophic floods, divine retribution, or world-altering events, and scholars suggest these myths may be rooted in real historical events passed down through generations. The similarities across these myths, from the Bible's Noah's Ark to the Epic of Gilgamesh and Hindu texts, imply a shared historical memory of a major catastrophe, possibly tied to cosmic threats, or a catastrophic environmental shift. The widespread presence of flood myths in cultures like the Ojibwe, Hopi, and Cherokee further suggests that these stories could represent a collective memory of a real, catastrophic event. These myths, deeply ingrained in human consciousness, might reflect humanity's attempt to understand and cope with a disaster of overwhelming scale, potentially linked to the end of the Ice Age. These stories also carry a silver lining in the form of redemption, signifying humanity's triumph over adversity. This cyclical view of catastrophes and recovery underscores the belief that even after devastation, there is an opportunity for civilization to rebuild and start anew. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.